For those of you who are not already familiar with what this is, I recently announced that I had some terrible habits and that I'm ready to make some serious changes. And I'm going to use the work of different influential intellectuals who value morals and ethics to help me navigate these changes, and I will be documenting my progress and techniques every Friday, as well as telling your story too. And on that subject, I was actually pretty stunned to see the emails pour in. I was not expecting so many. And the honesty with which everyone is displaying is heartwarming and shocking. And also a quick note for those of you who have sent in emails, just know that I might be shortening some of them up when I read them here for the sake of time, but I will make sure, obviously, to keep the core of what your message is. That way others can benefit from it. I also still have not quite figured out how my Friday videos will be set up. I may end up doing either like presenting it like a vlog or through my usual means of just kind of sitting in front of my better Blackmagic camera. Or I might do both, considering that I want these Friday videos to be able to hit every avenue of what someone would value from a video. Meaning I want it to be informative, but also entertaining. But enough about the video. Let's talk about my experience so far. So this is day 3. And I have maintained a, quote, keto diet. And also I just wanted to let everyone know that when it comes to diet and nutrition, I'm relatively well educated on that topic. And if you want to hear my thoughts, you can check out an old video I made a while back, which is called, I think it's called Why Diet is a Scientific Embarrassment, in which I go into all of the different variations diet can take and how malleable and adaptable the body is to different foods. But mainly what I talk about in that video, and what I still believe now to be true about diet and nutrition, is how terrible the consensus is among the scientific community, meaning the people who are supposed to know what we are to eat, and you can go as high up on that list you want, do not agree on what is best for us. Especially when one considers saturated fat and the amount of controversy that has sparked in the domain of health and nutrition. Which is why, while watching roaming millennial and vegan gains go at it, I really found myself looking at them both with a kind of pity. Even if I were to just leave temporarily the ethics aside, the reason they were both able to provide data for and against meat and for and against veganism is because there is data for and against meat and for and against veganism. And for me, the keto diet is something I've tried in the past and was very successful with. That is, of course, until it was not, which is another reason why I'm doing this, because I can always start a change in my life. But it's about maintaining what I started and not giving up. That is the hard part, because I've done what I'm doing now hundreds of times. I've cleaned my room and started to go to the gym or, let go of sugar hundreds of times. And that's not being hyperbolic, I promise you. Hundreds. So this is why I'm doing this in public. This is basically my last chance to really do this right. And one commenter did bring up a brilliant point, which I will echo here. He mentioned that if I'm to use you guys, I think he used the word audience, as my, quote, higher power, I'll be doomed. And some harped on him for being unfair, but I think he's right. I have to learn how to find drive and focus and clarity and a good diet and a clean home on my own. I need to be able to do that when only I'm around, meaning I have to find those things in me. So that's a very good clarification. Now, as for the story I picked, I think you could all get some benefit from. He chose to remain anonymous, as many of you have. Some of you have talked to and said you're okay with putting out your names, but most of you, I would say, want to be anonymous, and that's totally fine. So here's a piece of that story. I have been married for almost 8 years and have a son that is almost 2 years old. I have what I would describe as an addictive personality because I cannot point to any one source of trauma that has led to my pattern of behavior. I've become an ever-increasing drunk for most of my marriage, which is sad because my wife is my best friend and one of the best people I've had the pleasure to know. This is not a brag by any means, but I do believe that I was quite the functioning alcoholic. I believe that things have gotten so bad because I've been able to practically drink myself to death and still operate in normal professional and social situations. Only recently have I been open with my family and friends about my problem. I've always had somewhat of an inferiority complex, so it was primarily shame that made me cagey about the issue. I imagine that it is often the case with these problems. Now I can hardly go 24 hours without having all this toxic shit pouring out of my pores, dramatically shaking, and generally feeling miserable. Liquor is no longer an enjoyable respite from day-to-day stress, but rather a necessity to function adequately. I am encouraged by your resolve and dedication, and I am committed to taking this journey with you. Thank you for showing how relieving and healing openness and candor can be in confronting addiction. Here is to the recovery of all who struggle. And to the person who wrote that, thank you for your honesty. That helped me quite a lot. And hopefully it could help someone who just heard it. And again, when we use the word addiction or recovery, I want this to be as inclusive as it possibly can, meaning that we can narrow it down to just bad habits. if you have something that you're struggling with, hopefully this can be of benefit to you. So I do hope this video did help someone, and I will also be joining Jordan Peterson's self-authoring program and showing all of you how that goes in the future. So hopefully I can have a full week of clean eating and meditation and find a sense of structure and discipline in my life. Or it may all go to shit. But, either way, I have no intention of lying to any of you. If I really do fuck up and things get bad, I will tell all of you. I have no shame in that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But either way, here is to the future, and see you next time.